Alright, we're gonna pick up where we left off here. I gotta adjust the headset a little bit. The way that I'm recording these videos is with a headset and a microphone that's attached to it. It's killing my ears. Anyway, smoking hot, Mise, Amane, Project Amane. Let's just take a minute and take her in. It's pretty awesome. Anyway, do a little bit of YouTube behind the scenes nonsense here. What are we, next video we're uploading? What's the last one? I forget. I don't know. I did a couple things, but Junior Corner, I guess, what's the last one we uploaded was Variables 10. So we'll go back here, upload a video. We're uploading Variables 11. This next one in the series will takes a little bit, so we'll you can sit there and watch the progress bar, but it's agonizingly slow because it's a massive video. Massive? No, probably not. But let's just 1433, 200 gig or 200 megs. That's it's pretty large. So, what were we talking about before? We were talking about our boots and shit like that. But going to see if we can back up here. What are we doing? Abstraction, high level, Python. There we go. We're gonna install Python, or at least yeah, we're gonna install. Or I'm going to install Python. Whether you as a viewer or something like that, whether you want to install Python or not, that's completely up to you. Why am I actually going through installing Python? Because I would just basically it's a language that is somewhat easy to understand relative to the sort of made-up programming language that we've had here. We could type couple complex things in Notepad using our sort of made-up syntax for our programming language just to express concepts, and they would translate more or less pretty much, if not directly, then with minimal alteration directly into Python. That's not an accident. I use Python a lot. I quite fancy it. Let me just alright, let me blink a couple times and see what we got here. MD5, yada yada yada, 275, that's what we want. We want the 2 version, not the 3. x86, 64, yep. Alright, that's what we want. So it's going to download the, yep, still hot. So it's going to download the installer. Go through that, it's done. Again, this is this required for you to install Python? No. So why am I doing it? I just talked about why I'm doing this, but why, do you have to do this? No, absolutely not. And Python is it's a full-fledged programming language. You could write any application. As a matter of fact, you could Google around the web or something like that, Wikipedia, whatnot. Look up Django as a web framework that I'm somewhat familiar with. Python is a fully mature functional programming language. You could write any application, or just there applications you couldn't write in it or could not write in this. Sure, you couldn't write BIOS programs or images. It's probably a better term, but could you write a BIOS in Python? Probably not. Or maybe you could. I'm sure there's some way where you could convert this, convert that, yada yada. The point is that Python is a absolutely real programming language. You can write anything you want. You can make windows with the right libraries and things like that. You can manipulate those windows. Shit, you could write Shadowrun the game in Python, and there's nothing to stop you from doing that. So when I'm going to install Python here, and we're going to start fiddling around with it, just to be from a viewer's perspective, say you're watching this, well, some of this translates into Python, what good is that? Well, Python is a fully fledged, absolutely mature. It's been around for years and years and years. This is a programming language that you can write any application you can possibly dream of in. Again, BIOS and things like that. Maybe getting outside the realm of Python, but it's probably a way to do it. And that's all we're going to say. So do not have any doubts about the validity of Python as a language. You know, if you're really that concerned, again, you can go back to the Python article here, or to the Python article there. So bring up the thing, see what we got. How long have I rambled on about that? You gotta be kidding me, really? About 5 minutes, little under 5 minutes. Scratch my eye. All right, gonna bring up what are we gonna do next? Well, can we just fire up Python as application? Probably. Let's see what we can do here. We do Python idle. That's the editor. Does it bring up an instance where we can actually type crap? Let's see. Yep, seems to. Type X. Tells us no, X not defined. Perfect. So we'll sort of rearrange these windows a little bit, make it a little more conducive. So what's the general concept? We're gonna sort of roll back here a little bit into some of the previous videos. And we're gonna specifically go over the well, we're gonna go over a lot of things, but first thing we're gonna go over here is the list of defined variables for a process. So we can essentially just ask the what. First off, what are we running up here? Let's bring that down a little bit. All right, what are we running up here with the Python, or with Python, this interpreter instance, whatever, of Python? What's going on up here? What's going on up here is that we are feeding Python code directly into the Python interpreter, into the programming language brain, if you will. We're essentially asking it questions. So let's ask Python a question. How are we going to do that? Well, there's many ways we can do that, but the most straightforward way that we're going to ask Python a question is, do you as Python know the value of a variable name? So how do we do that? Well, it's really quite simple. We're just going to type in the variable name using some of the nonsense from the previous videos. We could just type in variable name. What's Python giving back to us? Well, it's giving us what it calls a traceback. There's a whole lot of details about that. Just not going to go into, but basically giving us a name error. It says variable name is not defined. What does that mean? Well, it means that we didn't do an assignment statement for this variable. So, in the previous videos, we were saying, x equals 1. Just like this, x equals 1. We hit enter. What's Python saying? It says, yep, I totally get what you're saying. You want to assign the value of 1 to the variable x. Now we're just going to type in x. What's Python saying? It says, yep, I'm going to take the variable name of x, look up in my dictionary of values, or of variables. I'm going to find the variable x, if it exists, which in this case it does. And then I'm going to dig out the value of the memory location associated with that variable name. And I'm going to return that to you as a bit pattern. What do we get? We get x, and then Python returns 1. Yeah. A little under 10 minutes. Let me think about where we're going to go from here for a second. So we got the Python yada yada open. Got about 4 or 5 minutes. All right, let's reproduce a little bit down here. What are we going to pretend is in the shadow of source code, the character creation screen? Well, dig a little bit deeper into this. Character creation, karma points available, yada yada yada. This is It's a lot going on in my head right now, so just bear with me. So, again, is that what we want to do? Do we want to do that? Think about this. Yep. Don't want to do that. So how am I not going to do that? Oh man, this is esoteric stuff. So Anyway, I'm gonna kind of beat a dead horse here until we chew up some time, and I can end this video, and then I'll jump back in the next one. Once I stop this, once we chew up a little more time and I stop the video, I'll have to, I'll sit down and I'll think about exactly what we're trying to express here. But trust me when I say that what we're doing here, leaping between, the programming, made up programming language down here, and we're jumping into an actual programming language, and memory addresses and things like that. This is hard to keep in your head um, all at once, and that's what I'm saying about that. So, all right, how much time do we have left? Am I counting the seconds? Maybe a little bit, but we'll try and make the best of it here. So, say we got about 3 minutes left. So in Python, as we proved before, we can just type in x. X is a variable. It's already been assigned to. We've assigned 1 to the name of x. This 3 angle. Do I want to call them brackets? No, but 3 pointer. Whatever, the 3 characters, because they're just letters essentially on a keyboard. These 3 characters is just a Python prompt. Puts a space after it. It has no actual value. You can see we can just hit enter a million times. This is just a way of Python giving the human some easier way to say, this is the prompt. Type in a command. Once you type in a command, I will obviously it's going to strip this away, and it's only going to read this, whatever we type or typed as a user, as input. Do that. Gives us traceback. Says I don't know what the hell that is. The last thing and the last step, as far as Python is concerned, it's going to look for reserved words and whatnot. We'll get into that maybe a little bit, but the last thing that Python does is it's going to sort of drill down into the variable or the lookup table, symbol table, whatever you want to say, for a variable name of whatever you typed in. This is not a reserved word. This is not a function. This is not any values. Obviously not a constant value. This means nothing to Python. So the last step that it's going to do to try and make sense of this value, it's going to look it up the symbol table of variables. And what it's saying here is the name, yada yada yada. This will always be in between the quotes here will always be a reproduction of whatever you type in. Is not defined. What does that mean? It means that there's no value, as we talked about earlier, associated with that variable name. So again, x has a value, y does not have a value. What is Python saying to us? It says the name is not defined. Let's define y. We're going to make y. It doesn't matter what the hell you make y. You can make it any arbitrary value you want. And now suddenly y is a value. You tell Python to read y. It says fine. We will set some absurd value to y, as you can see here. Move the mouse around a little bit more. This is a huge number. Python could care less. It says, yep, I don't care about data types or bit sizes or anything like that. You can put a massive number into any variable you want, and I'm pretty much okay with it. Yep, now we're getting down there. Alright, so let's see if just sort of expounding or expanding, a little bit of topics. What do we got? Z equals 0. Said, what is the value of z? Z is in fact 0. Let's make z 1. Hit z again, or type z again. So what's the value of z now? Is 1. Let's make it 2. Hit z again. You can see it's 2. This also expresses the point that you can, sort of syntax agnostic. So what's the value of 5? It's in fact 5. What's the value of z? Do we have a second to go over, see how big of a value can we smash into this? Yeah, we got about 30 seconds. Alright, so what we're going to do is just see how big of a value we can, I have no idea, how big of a value we can cram into this. We know that in the previous tutorials on Cheat Engine and stuff like that, putting a value like this into a variable, absolutely ridiculous. Makes no sense. We're going to do that, see what Python has to say. Could care less. That's very interesting. But it does prove the point that whatever is on the right side is getting saved into the left side, and that's all we're going to say about that.